Key stats for picking a winner at the Genesis Scottish Open where Rory McIlroy defends his title. What did we find about the one key stat all the recent winners had in common? And what about transitioning to links-style golf? How different is this course from the Open next week and maybe the U.S.-based courses in the past? But we got to start with how well the winners do driving the ball. Check out your last three winners at the Genesis Scottish Open. All three of them right now in 2024 are inside the top 10 of strokes gained off the tee, which means, Will Gray here on Key Stats, the driver is your biggest weapon this week, yes?
I agree. Yeah, I think that you're going to have to hit full send this week at Renaissance. This is a course where, as we talked about, you're getting into links golf, you're getting away from the more traditional U.S.-based courses. If it's firm and fast, that ball is going to run a mile or a kilometer, I guess, over there. And then again, if they've gotten a little bit of rain in Scotland, as they sometimes do, then the carry is going to be even bigger. You think of someone like Rory last year, who can not only hit it a long way, but he can carry it a long distance if conditions are soft. So this is definitely, it's a modern Scottish links. It was opened in 2008. This isn't a course that's been around for 100 years, but it is absolutely a driver-first course where you need to pick up the pace and try and get a leg up on the field off the tee and then try and hold your own on and around the greens.
So that's our one big key stat this week, strokes gained off the tee, and really kind of a general basis, it's total driving as well. Ben On, who finished T3rd last year, was first in total driving. By the way, we're using only 2023 here because the PGA Tour official stats didn't go full send, knock on wood, until 2022 with some of the stats. And then 2023 is the only real year we have stats for this. So we wanted to give you the most relevant ones and not throw out random numbers at you and give you the official facts. The top three in this stat, strokes gained off the tee, all finished in the top five last year of the event. Rory was first, like you mentioned. I mentioned Ben On, first in total driving. Now, Will, does that mean that you can be subpar approaching the green?
I think it's more about, controlling your misses, right? When you look at a stat like total driving, it means you're keeping the ball in position. And when we talk about links golf, where you can get away from it is by spraying it off the tee. You get into some pot bunkers, you get into long fescue, you start bringing double and triple bogey into play. If you're more often than not playing from the fairway, especially a long way out, you're going to be able to create those chances. So from there, you don't have to, hit 100%, batting average for your approach shots, but you do need to make more than your fair share. But I think the key that we've seen over the last couple of years, Renaissance has hosted this event since 2019, but as you mentioned, the stats are more, we're pulling from the last year or two. It is about creating those chances and avoiding some of the big misses off the tee.
You had brought up the American style that these players are used to for, 90% of the year. What's the difference going to be in Renaissance from America and then next week when they go to the Open Championship where, or let's call it what it is, these players are getting into form this week for next week. Yes, they want to win. Yes, they want to get the points. Yes, they want to get the money, but next week's the big one. What's the difference, do you think, between this and next week at the Open and what that means for, picking a winner here?
I think it's no surprise to see where this is in the schedule. A lot of the U.S.-based players are using this in conjunction with their start next week at the Open. But I view this week as a chance to kind of get used to the unpredictability of links golf. So much of it is based on the weather forecast. The winds can change in an hour or two, let alone a day or two. It can drop temperature. You can get rain. So from a micro perspective, the grasses are different. The pot bunkers are really the biggest hazard, more so than water penalty areas that we're used to in the U.S. But I think that this is really a good chance to look at this as a 2-week swing or a mini swing for a lot of American-based players to say, listen, I need to embrace the elements. I need to embrace the variability that comes with links golf, that if I hit a shot, 282 yards, it's fine. If I hit it 284 yards, I'm in trouble. And that pops up all over the place on a course like this, and certainly on a course like next week at Royal Troon. So the more you can put yourself into that mindset to embrace those sort of vagaries of links golf, I think the better prepared you are going to be when the ball bounces your way or sometimes doesn't.
So we're looking for players, just to recap here. who can hit the ball really well off the tee, and the rest of their game is just okay enough. Of course, everybody's got to putt well when it comes to scoring or succeeding anywhere on tour, whether you're in the United States or you're in Europe. And then also, we all want to look at some of the key course nuggets. Par 70, playing just below par here. I believe it was about top 20 when it came to toughest courses on the PGA Tour last year. And the hardest holes, ironically, are at the ends of both nines, Will. That means you got to finish strong every single day.
Remember last year, there's, Rory's approach on 18 for the win has been played on a loop, but it was unexpected at the time, right? 18 is a really hard finishing hole, and it looked like Bobby Mack was going to have a leg up there before Rory finished with 2 birdies over those last couple holes. You're right, 8 and 9 are tough on the front side, and then 18 is difficult as well. So it goes back to that notion of mindset, and you have to be able to close well. And I think a lot of these are going to be focused on what you can do with the par 4s. I know 9 is a par 3, but they're 8 and 18 are both difficult par 4s, so it's a lot of positioning off the tee, and then what you can do from there is going to be paramount. But what Rory did last year on the 72nd hole to clinch this thing was no small feat, especially considering how hard that hole had played all week long up to that point.
So just to recap here, hitting the ball well off the tee. You can adapt to any kind of conditions, any kind of courses, and you're known to finish your rounds well. Those are the kind of players that you want to hone in on this week. Now, we talk about the debate of course history versus recent form. So what we're doing is, we started this last week, is we're looking at the last 3 winners of this event, all of them at Renaissance Club: Rory McIlroy, Xander Schauffele, and Minwoo Lee. The white bar is their course history, and the blue bar is how they were playing the 5 events leading up to when they won that year. Now, this worked last week, Will, with Ben Everill and me, because we figured out that the guy who's going to win didn't need to have great course form at John Deere, but had to be playing good enough leading up. Davis Thompson nailed that to a T. What do you gather from this in terms of course history, the white bar for all 3 of these winners?
I think it's a similar story. I'm not really concerned with course history specific to Renaissance. I'd be more interested in links course history. How have they played on other links courses, both at the Open and potentially at other Scottish Open venues in the recent past? But I think that what you're seeing there, especially from Rory and Xander, remember, you go back to 2022, and that was where the PGA Tour and the DP World Tour kind of came into a partnership with this event, and the size of the field changed and the caliber of the field changed a little bit. And it's not a surprise to see 2 of the best players in the world have won this tournament the last 2 years. But look down that blue bar, and it shows me that when we're here in the middle of July, in the heart of summer, you need to be playing well, just period, flat out. This is a time of year where you're not really going to be able to go from 2 or 3 missed cuts and then all of a sudden you're contending and turning it around on a dime. For the most part, the players that I'd be looking for my shortlist this week and certainly next week at Royal Troon are players that are coming in with top 10s, top 25s with a heap of momentum in a positive way. They're looking to build on that with some links golf acumen and history, versus someone that maybe has a higher price and you're thinking, well, potentially they'd be able to turn it around. Victor Hovland comes to mind. I'm bearish on Hovland until I see a little bit more, despite his high finish, at the PGA Championship. But someone like, with what we've seen from Rory and Xander, I think Tommy Fleetwood is definitely someone that's in the mix as well, who's starting to turn things around and has shown some real promise in recent weeks. So those are the guys that I'd be looking at. Shocker, we're talking at the top of the board. But that's the type of player that I think you need to find this week. They're not going to be able to just create something out of nothing. It's the middle of the heart of the season. The best players are playing well, and those are the players you need to focus on.
Big 2 weeks, lots of travel for the Golfbet crew. Will's going to be over in Scotland next week. Give us a little preview of what's going on there next week at Golfbet and across the sea.
Yeah, other than the final major championship of the year, it's going to be fun to be out, at Royal Troon and getting some on-site perspective, as well as working the lines around town and kind of getting a feel for and a sense for how the town is embracing the tournament. Maybe talk to some locals about some insights of potential picks. Let's say it's a different world over there, right, Chris, in the UK, that how they view the betting landscape. So I'm off to find out just how well they embrace it.
Golfbet's got Roundtable coming up on Tuesday for all of our picks and predictions for the Scottish Open.